Oh, no, and it's longer. The one that he has in in Torah is longer than that and very nice.
Okay, so let's talk about your favorite subject that you started with, and I think that is one of the most favorite statement and teaching of yours, as far as I know, that absolute is the one that is not even known to I am. Absolute is beyond consciousness. Absolute is beyond I am. So first just express what you think of it, what you understand by it, and what you mean by it, and then we can talk about it, we can discuss it. And this
Okay.
is to you, Pete. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's it's obvious that if you believe that this Sarkarata knows what he was talking about, and I think he does because I have experienced more or less the same. Thank you. That the absolute has nothing to do with consciousness. No, that is not the right way of saying it. That the absolute has no use for consciousness. It doesn't need. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Consciousness is a product of the absolute, but the absolute doesn't use it. You know, it doesn't need it. It's completely whole and the totality with and without it. But the absolute can be reflected in consciousness. In other words, just like you are aware of your computer, but your computer is not aware of you, in this example, it sounds a little diminishing to the absolute because obviously the computer is inferior to you, but the absolute is superior to everything, you know. But the inferior is aware of the absolute consciousness in this case, but the absolute doesn't need consciousness for anything, and it's not aware of consciousness whatsoever. It's beyond that. It's perfection. That's my point of view. Okay, you guys should hold on it if you want to.
What do you think, Bill?
Well, okay. So, along with what Pete's saying, then I would say that when it comes to consciousness, people tend to focus on, an I am, for example, or a core, or God. God's about consciousness too, I think. So there's a basis. You cling to your core, your essence, whatever. But to me, what the absolute is when you no longer need a basis. There's no basis. There's nothing, no foundation whatsoever.
Okay, I buy that, yeah. Now, Nisargadatta also says that consciousness is the door to the absolute.
Yeah.
You should dwell on consciousness, and consciousness will lead you to the absolute. Now, who is this that consciousness would lead to the absolute? He doesn't say. There is always a dichotomy or a contradiction when you get to trying to express the ultimate, because you are a prisoner of language and of pronouns, and but but all those contradictions get resolved if you don't think in terms you don't think in terms of pronouns, what you think in terms of the brain. Okay. It's the brain that walks through the door, or not the physical brain, but the functioning of the brain that walks through that door and understands everything, including the absolute for a moment, and then attains that final illumination, you know.
See, I have a similar, okay, the way I would put it is in terms of, I think of myself as an information system, okay? I don't see it as, I mean, brain works for me, but really just experientially, I can see I'm an information system. I can see the stuff being processed. I can see programs kicking in, things like that. It's a system. As a system, just like our society, there's no one thing that's the center that is the essence of our society. It's a loose conglomerate of stuff that somehow functions. So, the way I look at it, what you're calling the brain or this information system, there's no entity that's at the core of it. It's just programming on programming on programming that somehow comes to a place of self-resolution, and the reason it has a long time to get there is because it's been confused a long time to refer back to itself. When it refers back to itself, it gets caught in, you might say, paradoxes, conflict. So this whole teaching is about letting go of self-reference, because it means nothing. There's nothing there. That's the core. That's the center. That's the person. There's nothing there.
All right. Well, let me ask Arvind, because he's the expert on this. You talk about systems. You talk about programming, but Arvind, I think, would tell you that systems and programming need hardware. You cannot have programming without hardware. It won't work. You cannot have.
No, I understand that. I understand it.
And the hardware is the brain. You know, you can upload all kinds of mystical things and spiritual things and intellectual things in the brain, but you need the hardware. Once you try to deny the hardware, your wheels start.
No. I totally agree. No, I see the brain as the hardware. I have no problem with the brain concept at all.
Okay. I wanted to clarify that, because some people do. You might not, but some people.
Yeah, like T-Bone.
You're familiar with that guy from New Zealand, T-Bone, right?
Yeah. No, he has.
He's a fanatic of no brain. I mean, yeah. I had never seen a psychologist denying the brain so much. I mean, what are you treating? What are you treating if not the brain? How you make your money?
Yeah. No, I just think that I'm saying subjectively I experience it as an information processing system. But I assume that there's a brain, and I use that model also to understand that information processing system. The brain is a separate model, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, really, all we have is models anyway. There's nothing beyond models, right? There's nothing real.
Well, I wouldn't say that. There's, see, this is the problem that non-dualism has not transcended. It think that non-duality can only be achieved through the spiritual, but non-duality can also be achieved through materiality, to the physical things. You just have to take physics and science to the ultimate, and it just gets to be non-dual. It doesn't have to be necessarily that you have to say, oh, this table is not here. This table is not happening. This table is just in my mind, which I don't know what the mind is because those people don't even acknowledge the brain. So this table is created, you know, without by ideas or delusions or whatever. Everything comes to the same converging. You know, it's like converging lines. Everything comes to the same point of unicity. Okay. You know, and things start looking different. Like I sent you a response to something that you said. Reality is I don't know.
Oh, about the subjective and the sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get across there.
Exactly what you said. Reality is not different. The perception of reality is the same as reality.
The experience of it.
Yeah, the experience of reality is the same as reality. Well, yes and no. It's the same, but it's different. Those things are completely different. You know, like for example, like what I said to you in email. It's like a stormy sea and a calm sea, or a placid sea. The placid sea looks completely different from a stormy sea, and the consequences of both are completely different. You can get killed very easily in a stormy sea.
Well, let me try to explain a little bit more of what I meant.
And a placid sea is the same sea, the same ocean, but it's completely different, yet it's the same, right?
Well, because this is actually something kind of new I was saying. Imagine at this moment you have this sensation of consciousness, of existence.
Uh-huh.
Now, that's all you have this moment.
Okay.
So I'm saying that what we think of as reality is what's being reeled out, those moments, in that sensation of consciousness. Only in that speck of consciousness can even the notion of reality emerge. It doesn't exist anywhere else.
All right, the notion, yeah, the notion doesn't exist anywhere else, right? Okay. Now I understand what you were trying to say.
Okay, thank you.
So let me ask a question that is related to what both of you are discussing. So it's a very popular Advaitic, non-dualistic, as well as a spiritual saying, which says that the world is unreal, the world is not true. What do you guys think of that statement? We can start with maybe Pete or Bill, whoever want to go first.
Start with Pete, because he's the one that we're centering on right now.
Well, the truth, I think that is baloney. I mean, it's nonsense. What do you mean by the world is not real? You know, the problem is with the word, the understanding of the word reality itself. All right.
Yeah.
There is nothing that is not real. An illusion is real. An illusion is a misinterpretation of data. Look at a mirage. A mirage is there's no water there. You misinterpret it as a lake, but it's just the way the hot air refracts the light and makes the shimmer and look like water. But there is a reality there, the vibration of the air, the heat.
Well, the key word you're using is the key word you are using there is the word interpretation.
Exactly, or misinterpretation.
So when do we ever have something that's not interpretation?
Well, That is a good question, because only that would be for about something that you see for the first time, because anything that you have seen before has already been interpreted, and even if you don't think about the interpretation, already the brain has a meaning for that thing that you're seeing, and you're recognizing it. You see a bird, and even if you don't think, oh, that's a bird, you're recognizing it as a bird. You're not mistaking that for a lion and run away. You know.
Right. Well, and even if you don't know, if you haven't seen that type of thing, that is an object, is itself an interpretation.
Well,
For example, on my TV screen, I can see a patch of pixels and interpret that as an object, even though it's just a bunch of clumps of pixels on the screen. Decide if that is an object, or there can be a shadow in the wall. I think there's something in the room. Oh, no, wait, it was just a shadow. There was no object.
Right. Okay.
So just interpreting an object is interpretation.
Of course, we're here dwelling in the hypothetical, but suppose you see, as you are hiking about the hills there, you see an alien that has just left its flying saucer or whatever, and it's completely something that you had never seen. It's not even matter. It's something completely new. So you will have no interpretation about what you're seeing. you will get one in a couple of seconds, but
yeah, maybe a millionth of a second at least. But there's something you wrote in one of your posts yesterday, today, where you talk about there were no thoughts, just as silence, something like that. And it seemed to me that in that kind of condition, there really is no interpretation. You're just being that whatever's happening, there's no need to figure anything out. When that silence is happening, there's no interpretation going on. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Well, that is the for me the essence of being to a certain level of realization, is that you see the world with certain immediacy without being too much aware of yourself. In other words, what you see can absorb the observer and create. You are right there without divisions in that experience. Now, it doesn't last too long. You need the observer. No one can live without the observer for too long. It's a necessity, because otherwise you will have to be fed spoon like a baby. You won't even be able to eat. They say that Ramana Maharshi was like that, right? He wouldn't even eat. He was lying in a cave, and people had to come and feed him until he snapped from that, right?
Well, I don't know. That's not my experience, but
or an Alzheimer patient is the same. That they don't even know what a spoon is. They don't recognize food. They have to be fed
no, but really, Pete, it depends. To me, the mind can be silent, and I'm cooking dinner. It's not like I don't know how to cook dinner, just because my body does it. Make sense?
I don't.
You don't buy it.
So, no, that's fine.
No, I mean, see, my mind has been silent for 30 years.
I don't know. If it was to the body by itself, then there would be no Alzheimer's disease. The brain that does all those actions, and without the brain, nothing will happen.
Well, okay, so what I'm saying is that the mind is silent. Okay, so
Oh yeah, I believe that your mind is silent. You don't need to think. You don't need these thoughts are different from knowing and being aware. You know, thoughts are more or less a verbalization of knowledge.
But you can do without those verbalizations. So you can
But
go for
yeah,
a long time.
you can do without them. Sure, it's very hard. You know, but because we're so used to talk to ourselves, but I go for minutes and hours without doing it, you know. But
I
the
know.
mind,
I started it started happening to me about 1980. And I would drive from Phoenix to Tucson, and I realized when I entered Tucson, I had not had a thought the whole time. There was just desert, steering wheel, sky.
yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. You have a blissful trip, right?
Yeah. But another way, it's like meditating. So you meditate, and then I would meditate with my eyes open. And so inside and outside eventually just become the same. There's no inside, outside, it's just this something. Well then, so there's a calm. It's like a little pond where there's been, some turbulence, but now it's calm, okay? Now I can get up, I'm still meditating. I can walk in the kitchen and start making dinner. I'm still in that staying quiet state.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
Okay. You know, I'm in complete agreement with it.